um, Mr. Maurice L. Eshleman has so kindly agreed for me to pick his mind. I think when he starts talking, I'll think of more questions. I wanted to get a piece of paper to write on. Marcy and Melvin were at the Tabernacle Baptist Parsonage, and they are in Ohio. You know where they're doing a revival up there, huh?
Yeah.
And I just got talked to him on the phone. It is right now 1:49 p.m. Boy, this day's going by fast. And I just talked to him on the phone. They're 30 minutes out of Ohio.
Wow.
But so now, Grandpa Eshleman, Christian, what's his middle name stand for?
What?
Grandpa Eshleman, it was Christian H. Eshleman.
Now you're talking about my grandpa?
Yep.
His name was Daniel.
Okay, your grandpa was Daniel, but your father's name was Christian.
Christian H. Eshleman.
And what does the H stand for? Hershey?
I really don't know.
I sure wouldn't know. But he moved down out of Pennsylvania to New Jersey when you were
6 years old.
6 years old, and that's where you went grave in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, most of the schools then were one room schoolhouse.
Well, the school I went to was a fairly new building, and they had 1 through 6th grade
In separate classrooms?
in separate rooms. Yeah.
Well, that was pretty state of the art at that time, I think.
Yeah, it was a new school. It was very at that time they called it a very modern school.
Well, that would have been, let's see, 1926.
Yeah, 1926.
And you were the oldest boy, the oldest of all of them.
No, my sister Veldora is older than I am.
We'll go down through your brothers and sisters. Veldora was the oldest.
Veldora was the oldest, and Sweta was the next one, and let's see.
Well, we have John and Chris.
Yeah, John was, Chris was a little older than John. And then there was my sister Martha. And let's see, would that be 6?
Yeah, I have Veldora was the oldest, then Suetta, and then you.
No, I was the second oldest.
Oh, so Suetta was...
Suetta's a little younger than I am.
Now, was Martha older than Chris?
No, she was the youngest one.
Oh, I didn't realize Martha was the youngest.
She's the youngest one.
So then it was Veldora, you, Suetta, Chris, John, and Martha.
That's right, yeah.
And so John here passed away a couple months ago.
That's right. Yeah.
I may give Rick, I don't know if I got that with me. I meant to send him a card to, Rick came down to visit us in Orangeburg.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He has a sweet wife. But,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good. Where's he living at?
He is living in Pennsylvania. It's a funny name, and I don't have it written down somewhere, so I don't know for sure what it is. But he has a nice place. Rick was telling me how he cuts his grass there. Him and like Chris takes a great pride in having a pretty yard, and he cuts that grass different ways so it'll grow better.
Well, that was one of the things that my parents, both my mother and daddy, were very fussy about, was keeping our yard properly trimmed. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the farm people didn't matter. They didn't spend, like, I don't think Jacob Whitmer, Mom's dad, cared too much about that area.
No, my mother and daddy, particularly my mother, was much more organized. She made sure that all of us kids had everything organized and in the proper places. That was one of the first things that after we were married, after I married Thelma, that I just assumed that everybody was well organized, like us kids were, and but she wasn't near as organized as I was.
You guys probably had a few arguments about that.
Yeah, we certainly did, because my mother made sure that if you wanted something, you knew exactly where to go to get it. Whether it was some tool or something in the cupboard, in the kitchen, or whether it was something in the barn, we had to make very sure that we almost could go get it with our eyes closed.
Now, are you comfortable? You want something to drink or anything?
No.
Now, this is probably a little more exercise than you normally get. So when you're ready to rest, just let me know. For one thing, I'll be ready to take me a nap pretty soon. I got up pretty early this morning, but
Okay.
But now, when you moved from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, where did you and Grandpa, where did you guys live?
Before we moved to New Jersey?
Well, I don't know if you remember too much about that. How much do you remember?
We lived in a place called Lemon Place.
Lemon Place, huh?
Yeah, that was a couple mile out of what the canoe was called Paradise.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. There was coming off of the main road going down to our house was a pretty good hill. I remember sledding on that hill. That was one of the things we'd go up on the top of that hill and sled down to the yard in our house.
Well, now, was this before you moved to New Jersey?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty amazing that you can remember back when you were 5 and so years old.
Well, it made an impression upon me.
Well, now, you actually lived, were you living with, real close to your Grandpa Daniel and...
We were about, I would say, 3 miles away.
Okay.
Yeah. Daddy worked on his brother's, Clarence's farm.
Okay. Now,
he helped with the cows and with the crops.
Well, now your dad, he had a brother named Clarence,
Yeah.
and how many brothers and sisters did he have?
Well, he had the brother Clarence, and then he had a sister Barbara, and a sister Susanna.
Susanna.
Yeah.
Now your mother, how many sisters, brothers and sisters did she have?
She had a sister that was named Merle. She was the youngest one, and then she had, as far as I can remember, she had a brother. His name was Willis, who he was the one that had a store in this Dutchtown intercourse.
Okay.
And then there was
Now what was the name of the guy that had the store?
Willis.
And his son's running that thing now, isn't he?
I think that's true.
Well, he may be retired now too, probably.
I don't know whether he's still living or not.
So she had Willis and
Merle. Merle was the youngest one. I remember her in music. She taught piano lessons.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
I remember that very well.
Well, did she teach him out of her home?
Yeah. They taught it out of their house. Yeah.
So, Grandpa Eshleman, my grandpa, your dad, the doctor told him he should move to New Jersey.
Well, no, he simply told him that they said he had tuberculosis and he had to get to a soleil climate. And after he moved to New Jersey, he found out that there was a dairy farm that was looking for a hired man. And right after he moved down there, he found a colored doctor. And this doctor, I'll never forget that. This doctor examined him, and he said, "You don't have tuberculosis." He said, "You got growths in your nose." He said, "I can take them out right here in my office." And Daddy made another appointment and went back, and I'll never forget, they took these growths out, and Daddy said it seemed like his whole head opened up.
Well, he may have lived with that for years. He may have had that problem even when he was in his teens or something, you know.
Yeah, I think he had it most of his life. And back in those days, the Dutch doctor back in Pennsylvania, they didn't diagnose that.
Well, they thought he had some kind of asthma or something. What did they think he had?
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. Gracious sakes.
Yeah, he said unless he got to a solar climate, he would die within 6 months.